Hey, how's it going, guys? Ancient Rain here, back with another Borderlands video, and today I'll be going over something different than I usually do, which is about Borderlands 4. I kind of been thinking about some ways to make farming better, as I don't really like Borderlands farming, but people really like dedicated farming. And for the world drop farmers like me, who really liked Chaos Chambers with the Chaos Bunnies, but it just still wasn't right, I came up with this idea combining stuff like rarities from BL2, content from BL3 and Wonderlands, and loot acquisition from BL3 and Wonderlands. So this is going to count for like any content, and it's going to be at the end. So this doesn't interfere in your gameplay loop. You don't have to go looking for items while playing content. What I mean by content is endgame activities, not those random badasses that are renamed in there, but your actual endgame content like Circles of Slaughter, Proving Grounds, Chaos Chamber, solo raid bosses, takedowns. All those are endgame content. So we're going to do that. So you're going to start the content, do all the normal stuff, and then you're going to defeat the content. And then you have the boss drops, a loot explosion of dedicated drops like Wotan. Now, why would it drop a lot compared to like the badass where it'd have maybe a chance? Because you are putting investment in time into that content and you need a build, it should have a good reward for it instead of just one-shotting a random enemy and okay, it has a chance. I didn't put much effort into it, so that has a lower chance. Makes sense. So with this, I'm thinking maybe 5 to 10, depending on how many dedicated drops it has, how difficult the content is, and also it depends on the part system. But Wotan had it the best because it just a lot of drops, and it had 3 different sources, which also helped. It had the top half, the bottom half, and the brain, as well as world drops with those legs being able to break open, which is really cool. And then the rarity of those endgame content dedicated drops will be the Seraph rarity from Borderlands 2, where you had the Seraph crystals and the vendors. This is to help identify it's the endgame content gear. So if world drops come out, it's easier to see and know that. I've really always liked the Seraph rarity because it is something that's different and it identifies where you got that item from. Pearls could also have a higher chance of dropping from the endgame bosses. Percent chance can also depend on the difficulty of content. Solo raid bosses and takedowns would probably have the highest rate. And then after that, you would enter some room or area with a diamond loot room-esque wall where you would pick the drops you want, like shields, artifacts, pistols, snipers, etc., from the wall like Chaos 20s. You'd do a switch, and then you'd activate it and it would roll with whatever you want. You can choose multiple types if you want, and the amount of walls can depend on the difficulty and time spent on the content. So taking examples from like Borderlands 3, you have the Proving Ground, maybe like one wall of them. With Circles of Slaughter, you have 2 walls, solo raid boss 3 walls, and then takedowns 3 or 4 walls. And I'm thinking 1 extra because you have 2 bosses in there. You have the middle boss and the end boss, so it could warrant another wall. Instead of having to spend time charging bunnies, you have the diamond loot room wall just showing everything and organized. So people who like the loot room, a lot of the complaints was it's just clumped on the floor and very hard to tell. And you also have to spend time charging it, and that's not really fun. But the great thing is there'd be no timer, and you can pick up as many as you want. It could drop only legendaries, but having some purples would be cool, as some purples are nice. Like in BL3, purple artifacts are amazing if they have some nice stats, but primarily legendaries. Maybe it could depend on the difficult level, like if we have the mayhem system or OP levels or chaos levels. Pearls could possibly have a chance to drop, but it would be low since the boss also has a chance to drop pearls, and it would be a good amount of roll drops on each wall. Probably depend on the part variation of pearls, to be honest. I also don't know how to do pearls. I liked Wonderland's Redux, making them have a unique stat. I don't care for them much, but a lot of loud people really like them, even though we have rare farms already. But whatever. Anyways, I'll have a separate video on that, probably with a couple ideas. And then on the topics of rarity, you could also talk about quest rewards having the different rarity to show that they're quest rewards if the Wonderlands mechanic comes back, where quest rewards can world trap and come in vendors. Wonderlands Redux has a separate rarity, or you could do like the rainbow rarity there. And then you also have like the Etech weapon rarity, where we have the alien barrel. You can bring those back if you wanted, because the alien barrels are pretty cool. But I think that one's a little bit overrated and just kind of doing a rarity for a rarity and doesn't do anything too special. And so what this does is this does not remove the dedicated drops from random enemies around the game, while rewarding players very well with world drops for those who don't like the Borderlands dedicated farming system. And this does not clutter the screen or interrupting the combat during the content. Like, people will see a bunch of world drops, and maybe then we could decrease the world drops at other content, or like the non-endgame content could be decreased so people aren't seeing those drops there. And so you'd only during the end of the content you'd see it, and it would be better than bunnies. These world drops on the wall would also not be limited to a world drop pool, but to every dedicated drop besides maybe endgame content dedicated, which would be Seraph rarity in this case anyways, and I didn't list it as a rarity, so that you never have to be forced to sit at a single renamed badass for hours to days, weeks, months, or even years for even a decently rolled item. Again, this could change with how the part system works in Borderlands 4, but we'll have to see. So if you want to farm dedicated drops, it's still there, and one would not be better than the other. I don't want to make this like Loot the Universe, where one content is dedicated to like pistols, where another place is class mods, because if that content is not enjoyable to you, then it sucks to farm, and then you're not having a good time. If you don't like a takedown, like a lot of people don't like Guardian Takedown, what if that was for artifacts? Artifacts are very important. Then it's going to be a bad time that you're farming. But you could go to a proving ground and do artifacts if you want, and have a good time if you really like it. If that's your favorite part. I really like Slaughter Shaft, so I like to run that, but other people don't. Hardcore players are going to find the best farm this way, but it's about fun in the end, and people find the best farm for stuff anyways. And when you play through the game enough, you will just play random content for fun with cool loot at the end, and not focus on the best loot farm. And that is basically it with my idea. Let me know what you think and how to improve this. I really like it, and I'm not just biased because of this, because I took ideas from other people, kind of combining stuff, mix matching what I like and what they like to see what would be work the best. Because ideally for me, I want dedicated jobs to be 100%. I do not want to be sitting there for a long time, but I know people don't like that, and I know Gearbox won't do it, so I'm not going to think that way. So I'm kind of thinking of both ways. Same as I don't really care about rarities, but I know people do. So there's all that as well. Pearls, don't care for, but I think they can be done, and I like this way because it does not remove anything. It just adds to it. World drops could be not interfering with dedicated, and dedicated farmers are not interfering with dedicated drops. So with this wall mechanic of having all the items, you never have to do a dedicated farm that is just a solo enemy, unless it's like a big raid boss. It would all be in content, and you'd be getting a lot of drops to make up for that long spent content. But again, comment what you think, any improvements, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.